So we are at the PMI conference in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm here with Chad Hermann. He is the communications director of Kids Plus Pediatrics. You just gave the opening talk about your anti-vaccine campaign, but I want to start by asking you what made you guys think of the idea to have a communications director as an employee of a pediatric practice, and what has that done to your practice and the community that you serve?
Yeah, that question is probably better answered by my bosses who came up with the position, but the vision was people who are having babies now live their lives on these things. And if you aren't in that space, you don't exist. And so a large part of my job, obviously, is creating our presence with our website and all of our social media sites so that we can get good health and wellness information to those parents on Facebook twice a day on weekdays, at least once a day on a weekend. So we're hitting them hundreds of times a year as opposed to 3 or 4 with sick and well visits. I oversee all of our education classes. We have more than 25 different classes that we offer, most of them free, some of them premium for a cost. But again, it's ways to get our message, to get good evidence-based health and wellness information out to our families and to the community. Our classes are open to the public, anyone can come. You don't have to be a Kids Plus patient. We just want to engage, again, our patients, our families, our communities in every way possible, and communication is at the core of that, so they felt they needed an expert, somebody who works in that field to do the work.
You actually have a video studio in the practice, right? So there's a room, you're walking through a pediatric practice, and there's a room there that is a video studio.
That is correct. When they hired me, they said, Chad, one day we're going to build you a video studio. And I knew that they meant it, but I couldn't believe it would ever happen because they're a pediatric practice. But about 3 years ago, we built out one of our offices and expanded admin space, and I got the biggest space in the building. We've got 3 different offices. My office is the biggest one across the entire practice for my office and our production studio where we do all sorts of videos. We also do health and wellness stuff for the community. We've done some advocacy work for universal pre-K. And next, starting very soon, we're going to start doing our podcast from there as well. Because again, we need to get video, audio, anything we can out to folks who need this information. And there's a really interesting study lately that shows that people would rather watch 2 minutes of video online than read 2 minutes of text. Even if they are devoting the same amount of time, they'd much rather watch the video. So our physician owners knew that video was a way to go to get our message out there. So they invested money and we built the studio.
Tell me about the podcast. Is there a central theme, or is it going to cover a wide array of topics?
It's going to cover a variety of topics, again, kind of similar to what we do on social media, which is anything that we think is of interest or value to parents or caregivers or other providers and practices. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be pretty much of a wide mix. The one thing, obviously, is going to be very scrupulously evidence-based. We're toying with the idea of having the tagline be taking science back one episode at a time.
Love it. So those that couldn't make it to this conference, can you give us the 1 to 2 minute overview of the video you produced last year and what happened as a result?
Sure.
And where that's taking you in the future?
The video that spawned the anti-vaccine attack was a 90-second public service announcement on the HPV vaccine as cancer prevention. And we made the video with that angle because it was field tested in our offices, in our exam rooms. That point was what really helped us move the needle on a lot of our parents. And so Dr. Wolin, my colleague and friend and boss, wrote a draft of the script. He and I revised it. And we got every single provider in the practice at the time to appear in the video. And we shamelessly ripped off the idea from the NFL domestic violence PSAs from a couple of years ago. Real simple shots of providers stitching together a message in front of a white background. The idea being, here are people you look up to and you respect, giving you a really important message that you need to take seriously. So we posted that video. It was met with great love and acclaim. People all over the country, all over the world, told us they really liked it. Most importantly, we had parents calling the office after the video saying, Do I have to make an appointment for this? Can it be at my next well visit? I want to get my child the vaccine. It was really powerful and effective. Fortunately, about 3.5 weeks later, the anti-vaccine forces on Facebook found it and launched an all-out attack from inside a 40,000 person strong anti-vaccine group. And they attacked our practice, they attacked our Yelp and our Google ratings, they attacked us on Facebook, and it lasted for almost 8 days. And by the end of it, we had banned 838 people and deleted more than 10,000 comments from our Facebook page, which sounds awful, and it was, but it also lit a fire under us. We'd always been doing advocacy work, we'd always been strong and vocal proponents for vaccines, but this has become a brand new mission for us to, first of all, get evidence-based information about vaccines out there, and secondly, to do anything that we can to combat a kind of frightening and growing anti-vaccine movement online.
So what are you doing in the future? What are your specific plans?
Well, we've kind of wrapped up research. The first phase of the research right now, we've submitted a paper for peer-reviewed publication. We've been doing some work with some really amazing folks at the Graduate School of Public Health at the University of Pittsburgh. And out of that, and out of my experience fighting off this attack for 8 days, and what we know about social media, we're three things. One, we're putting together, the first draft is done, a social media toolkit for practices and providers to prepare for, defend against, and clean up after an attack like this if they suffer it. We've seen data that says that practices and providers and even whole health systems are hesitant to post pro-vaccine information on their social media because they know it leaves them with a target on their back, and there's a very good possibility they could be attacked by the anti-vaccine forces. So we hope that this toolkit will embolden them to do it because it will get them ready for an attack and give them the absolute best practices for ways, again, to prepare for, defend against while it's happening, and then clean up the damage after it's over. The second thing we're doing is putting together a group, which we're calling Shots Heard Around the World, which is basically a digital cavalry. If you're attacked, you contact this group, and we light the bat signal and bring everyone who's a member of our group, practices and providers worldwide, and have them come to the aid. Because one of the things that really turned the tide in our attack was when folks from SOPM and from Physician Moms Group came to our aid and started fighting the people who were fighting us. So we think that having that cavalry at the ready will be a huge help to folks who suffer attacks in the future. And finally, we want to go and get an audience with the major social media platforms, especially Facebook, Twitter, and Google. They're all, to a different extents, especially Facebook, have had sort of come to Jesus moments about the ways that fake political news is spread on their platforms and how that can seriously affect change. And we want them to have a come to Jesus moment about all of the fake medical news that is being shared and distributed, and that has a tremendous potential. I mean, we're talking about health and wellness, we're talking life and death here, and we think we're not sure what they need to do, but we'd love to have that conversation of how can we protect free speech, but also protect truth and evidence and medical reality.
Right. Well, thank you for taking a couple of minutes after our talk today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the conference.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Jen.